Hi, it's Tiana here with my presentation for my final project. For my project, I thought it'd be fun to look back on my life and do something for my old employer, Godiva Chocolatier. I worked there for 5 years, so I've got good experience with them, and also, I mean, who doesn't love chocolate? It's a fun topic. I thought I would specifically for this focus on the fruit. As you may know, Godiva specializes in freshly dipped fruit. There's 4 main products, so there's individual chocolate-covered strawberries. You can get them in large or medium size. The chocolate-covered strawberry cone, which is pictured here, which is just a little like paper cone with 3 or 4 slightly smaller but still nicely sized strawberries, and then the kebabs, which are sliced bananas and strawberries on a stick drizzled with chocolate. So I was thinking here about the store opener specifically. When you open the store in the morning, part of your responsibilities include dipping the fruit for the day. I've had to do this a lot, so I know that it can be kind of annoying and difficult, not in the actual process of dipping, but just thinking about how to set it up. So part of the other thing that comes into this is targets. So every store every day has a revenue target, which is typically built to be a slight or sometimes large, but usually like a slight increase from the year before. You want to make sure that you're increasing in profits and not like flunking everything. So part of that store revenue target includes a specific fruit revenue target. So, in the morning when you're thinking of setting up dipping, you have to keep all these things in mind, right? Because you want to be able to dip enough fruit to sell enough that will hit that target. You don't want to over dip because that means at the end of the day you're throwing out a lot of really yummy, delicious, and expensive fruit. And you don't want to underdip either because, first of all, if you underdip, you'll never hit the target because you just haven't made enough to sell. You also might just risk customers getting annoyed if they come in and they want chocolate-covered strawberries and you don't have any left. So there's a lot of things to think about. From my experience, it was kind of just use your judgment, like figure it out. I don't know, dip a tray full, dip 2 baskets full, and just hope it goes well. We've got this target. Let's just assume it's going to happen. But as I now know about Solver, I say that is silly. Let's have Excel tell us what to do. So I was just thinking, Solver is perfect for this. We know when you walk in the morning, you know how much inventory you have. You can very easily look and see the number of baskets of strawberries you have, the number of bananas you have. You know the day's goal because part of your responsibilities as an employee of the store is to know the goal. And we can basically just make Excel do the work for us. So we can go ahead and fill in some stuff here. Just a side note, I've made the sheet safe from people trying to mess with it. So as you can see, the sheet as a whole is protected. Also, let's say you're going to fill in your inventory and you decide to type a number, that's not going to be allowed. So let's do an example. Let's say we've got 3 baskets of large strawberries, maybe 5 medium, and 15 bananas. Let's say our goal is $200. So after that, all you'd have to do is click the button and things will happen. I'm going to tell you what those things are, walk you through the process of those things, and then actually show you. So what it will happen is all this information is going to be appearing in a hidden tab. Again, hidden for safety. This has all of our Solver details. So we've got the price of stuff. Here's the number of ingredients needed for each item. You can see here's our inventory, which you can see was pulled from the previous sheet. So we've also been able to work out, obviously, again, we're trying to make this as easy as possible. You're not going to have somebody go and sit and count individual strawberries. So we can make some assumptions and use them. Typically, what we call a flat, but a case of large strawberries will have about 12. And there'll be usually about 20 medium strawberries in a basket of those. So using that, we can figure out, okay, we've got, X amount of strawberries and bananas. Here's the solution. So when Solver runs, it'll tell us how many of each we need to make. Then the inventory used and remaining bits will work themselves out, as will the revenues. So for Solver here, Actually, it's funny because my initial thought was, okay, great, Solver, let's just maximize revenue, right? Like, we want to make all the money. But then I realized this is actually stupid because when I do that, all that it will tell me is to use up all my inventory, which is the opposite of what we're trying to do. We're trying to save money. We're trying to make our revenue target, but we don't want to make so many chocolate-covered strawberries that we end up throwing them out at the end of the night and wasting the money that we spent on them and having to order more the next day. So forget about that. So I was like, oh, well, obviously then I should just make it the target. The problem with that, and I can go through super quickly, is that when you go into Solver, if you've got your objective, let's say, we've clicked it, and then if you want to make it set to a specific value, again, we're trying to make things easy. We don't want any of our employees to have to go into the screen and do anything. So yeah, you can type 200, but the goal is going to be different every day. So let's make it a cell reference. So let's say E20. Let's just do it quickly. We can't anyway because you have to use an integer or decimal number. So that's super frustrating, isn't it? But that's okay, because what I did was I figured I'll make a macro and fix it. So I made a macro, recorded my steps of going through the whole solver process, putting my constraints. These all have to be integers. You can't use a half a strawberry for something. We can't have negative inventory left. You have to use no more than the number of inventory that we currently have, etc. So those constraints will be in there. And I just need to fix the target. So I can show you what that looks like super quick as well. In our macro, which is called morning dipping, this is the entire process that it'll go through. The very first thing in our macro is the solver bit. So you can see here where this is our target cell, the revenue value of. When I first did it to record the macro, I just put in a random number there and changed it. So copy, find, replace, favorite thing of mine to do. Here, this little formula converts what's in this cell, which is our revenue goal, into a string. And therefore, Solver thinks that you've just typed in a number. Wonderful. So the other thing that will happen is that the results of this here will print out. So the person who's opening the store has it literally on paper in front of them. They can bring it with them to the back or wherever the dipping machines are and have it as a guide. So that will happen. Also, what will happen is a separate sheet will be created so that the closer at the end of the day can go in and put in what they actually sold, how many of each fruit item they actually sold, to send over to their manager or district manager, whoever, for like a daily report. So I'm just going to go ahead and rehide this. There's a couple things to keep in mind here. Obviously, people are people and the workers are smart. They know, they have experience with the business. So Solver is going to give us a recommendation of what to do, but you can slightly adjust that as needed. Sometimes maybe you want to make a couple of extra chocolate covered strawberries to put on display to entice people to get into the store. Or, you might have gotten the day before a call for a specifically large order of strawberries, for somebody's anniversary or something. So ahead of time you're going to need to make those. Those are going to sell. So you can make some changes if need be, but for the purposes of this, let's just take it as it is. So we've clicked the button. You can see here Solver's doing its thing, looking for a solution, printing. You can see a sheet being built in the background there, and we're back. So here, this button is asking us if we want to reset things. So if I click yes, then you'll see here everything will open or will clear, as it has. And now we've got this nice little motivational message to dip away. Then there's been a file created here, fruit_our store 219, and today's date. This is the file that was created based on the results, which are here. This is what would have printed out. And then the rest is all information that, upon being filled in by the closer, will tell us what actually happened. So again, the sheet's protected the same way as before, so you can't mess with formulas. If you try and type a word here, it won't work. So let's say today we ended up selling 5 large strawberries. We didn't sell any medium ones, but we ended up selling actually 12 cones. We had made some extra for display, and that worked out great. And let's say we sold, 8 kebabs. Based on this, as you can see, we have made $17.50 more than we're targeted for, so that's awesome. Also, something to keep in mind is, like, let's say we didn't sell any of these, then it'll show you red. But the point is that you fill this out as the closer, you just resave it, and you can very easily put that in an attachment to send over to your manager. In a perfect world, I would have been able to create a button that the closer could just come in here, fill the stuff out, click the button, and the email would be sent automatically. But unfortunately, to do that, you need Microsoft Outlook to be working, which mine is not, so I was not able to test it and make sure it worked. But, it's something to think about for the future. So something to think about would be, this email thing, as well as also just maybe working into the additions here. So this is great to make our goal, but as mentioned, maybe you want to make some for display. So maybe each store has its own guidelines for what they put on display. So maybe, store 219 will always have 5 cones in the front. So regardless of whatever happens, you need to make those 5 cones. So this maybe would have been 15. So things like that are things that could be added depending on, an individual store's need or a need for the time of year or whatever. Valentine's Day, obviously things are going to be way higher, stuff like that. So I think, this is a pretty cool, fun way to just have something tell you what to do early in the morning without having to think about it much. You've got a goal. Instead of stressing about how you're going to get there, just do what it tells you and hope customers come, or, stand at the door and try and get them in. But I think this was fun for me to do, and I think it could be very helpful, and it's something I'll keep in my back pocket. So thanks for listening and watching, and have a good day.